Well, I hope to God that eventually we find out that maybe Caitlin Clark was asked to do this and maybe she said no. Because if that's not the case, then the WNBA and the Players Association, the WNBA PA, and the league, to be honest, continue to disrespect the far and away biggest draw that this women's hoops league's got that they've ever seen.
The WNBA has officially sent a shocking message to its biggest star, and it proves a bitter civil war is raging within the league. In a major new merchandise campaign launched by the Players Union, stars like Aja Wilson and Angel Reese were featured prominently, but the one player they deliberately excluded was the single most popular and marketable athlete in their sport, Caitlin Clark. This wasn't a mistake, it wasn't an oversight, it was a calculated snub, an act of professional jealousy so blatant it has the entire sports world asking one simple question: why is the WNBA actively trying to sabotage its own golden goose? The answer is found in the numbers they're trying so desperately to ignore.
Jealousy and sheer incompetence are going to be the three main reasons why the WNBA never reaches the popularity, never reaches the shine that they think they deserve. Stubbornness, incompetence, and jealousy are going to be the reasons why Caitlin Clark remains at the mountaintop and nobody else ends up even being close to joining her up there. And it's all the WNBA, the players, the executives, Kathy Engelbert. It is all their fault. They're far too jealous. They're far too stubborn. And from a business sense, they are all far too incompetent. What am I talking about?
The decision to exclude Caitlin Clark from a league-wide merch deal becomes more absurd with every single statistic you look at. This isn't just about feelings or opinions. It's about hard, undeniable facts and finances that paint a picture of utter incompetence. Within hours of being drafted, her number 22 Indiana Fever jersey became the top-selling jersey for any draft pick in history. Not just in the WNBA, not just in basketball, in any sport ever. Fanatics, the massive company that handles all official sports merchandise, sold out of her jersey in multiple sizes almost immediately, something previously unheard of for a WNBA player. But it doesn't stop there. Arenas across the country are selling out the second she's announced to be in town.
Their biggest draw, their biggest revenue churner, the biggest ratings, viewership draw, attendance draw, the whole, if it's a draw, Caitlin Clark's bringing them in droves and lined up to come in the door. I'm awaiting a record, some kind of a record rating for her return the other day against the Liberty. I'm awaiting for that viewership rating to come in for television. I got a question. If you were going to market a product and the WNBA was going to be officially involved in it, would Caitlin Clark not be the number one overall draft pick that you would have? Well, to the Players Association and the people involved with it, I guess not. And this is baffling to me. It's terrible business. It is failed business 101.
Teams like the Las Vegas Aces and the Washington Mystics are moving their home games against the Fever to larger NBA stadiums just to handle the thousands upon thousands of extra fans clamoring for a ticket. And the television ratings, they're astronomical. Her debut game pulled in over 2 million viewers, the most for a WNBA game in over 2 decades. Subsequent games on national television continue to shatter records. By every single measurable metric, Caitlin Clark is a one-woman economic stimulus package for the entire league. So to deliberately leave the one person who sells more merchandise than everyone else combined out of a merchandise deal isn't just petty, it's a strategic blunder of epic, almost unimaginable proportions. But this decision wasn't about business sense. It was about something much more personal.
WNBA Players Union chooses Angel Reese over Caitlin Clark in social media posts. Now, to be fair to Angel Reese, it wasn't just Angel Reese. It was everybody not named Caitlin Clark. It was everybody the old guard thinks is a star, not named Caitlin Clark. This is absolutely pathetic, absolutely embarrassing, and we are going to show you why momentarily. WNBA's Players Union chooses Angel Reese over Caitlin Clark in social media post originally appeared on Athlon Sports. Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark and Chicago Sky forward Angel Reese have not exactly had fortunate starts to the 2025 WNBA season.
To truly understand why this happened, you have to look past the spreadsheets and into the locker room. The WNBA, like any professional league, has its own ecosystem, its own hierarchy, and its own set of unwritten rules. For years, players have fought tooth and nail for every scrap of respect and recognition. They've played in front of small crowds, for modest paychecks, waiting for their moment. Then, overnight, an outsider from Iowa arrives and instantly becomes more famous, more celebrated, and more wealthy than the decorated veterans who have been grinding for a decade. The on-court aggression toward Clark has been relentless and well documented. Hip checks, blindside hits, and hard fouls that go far beyond typical rookie hazing.
I'm just in shock. I'm in shock. So you've got a lot of the biggest names in the entire WNBA here. You've got Aja, you've got Kelsey Plum, you've got Paige Beckers, you've got Angel Reese, you've got Fee, you've got Cameron Brink, you've got Sabrina. So you've got a lot of the bigger names, if not the biggest names. The biggest names in the entire WNBA right here. And who's not there? It's Caitlin Clark. And if you guys have not seen this right here, FM cases and the WNBPA. The WNBPA. So this is 3 days old. I got sent this email today. I actually, in fairness, I did see a tweet, not including the most popular player. This is how much they hate Caitlin misspelled.
Off the court, the narrative from some players and media allies has been just as hostile, filled with dismissive comments and thinly veiled jealousy. This merchandise snub feels like the official, union-sanctioned version of that hostility. It's the old guard drawing a line in the sand, a clear and public attempt to signal that despite her fame, despite her talent, and despite the millions of fans she brings, she still hasn't been accepted. It's a desperate power play designed to remind everyone, especially Clark herself, who they believe is really in charge of the league she is now saving, and that resentment is fueled by something much deeper and more complicated.
The exact abuse that they're giving Caitlin Clark right now to Sabrina Ionescu. Like, let's be real, you can look, if you read what some of these things have said about Sabrina Ionescu before Caitlin Clark walked in the league, but now they have the new bully victim. And it's so funny looking at it where you're like, all these, it's so clear that these people, it's just an anti-Caitlin people, because it's like an enemy of my enemy is my friend, where it's like they are these individual pages where you look at the players they hype up, and Paige Beckers, and by the way, by all accounts, Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark are friends. They'll have their profile's Angel Reese, and the players are going to hype up as Paige Beckers because she is a rival to Caitlin Clark. And let's be real, that's an actual rivalry. Paige Beckers is really damn good.
This is where the story takes a darker, more complicated turn. It's the conversation nobody wants to have, but it's the elephant in the room that's coloring every interaction. The WNBA is a league where the vast majority of its stars are black. Caitlin Clark is white. Her meteoric rise to a level of mainstream stardom that has eluded most other players has sparked quiet but intense conversations about media bias and privilege. To some within the league, her unprecedented popularity feels unearned, a product of a media landscape that they believe has always favored white athletes over their black counterparts. This simmering resentment, whether you believe it's justified or not, is a powerful and destructive motivator.
Caitlin Clark had another, whatever you want to call it, confrontation in a WNBA game. Like, why is this happening? The Caitlin Clark phenomenon is one that I got wrong. I never really thought that Caitlin Clark would make the difference that she has in college basketball or in the WNBA. What other sports analogies are out there that are in any way similar to the impact that one individual has had on a larger sporting universe? Tiger was.
The exclusion from the merch campaign becomes more than a business decision. It becomes a political statement. It's a way of saying she may be the media's darling, but she isn't one of us, and we won't let her represent us. It's a move rooted in a complex and painful mix of professional jealousy and deep-seated cultural friction. But even if you were to ignore these uncomfortable truths, the business logic behind the decision simply doesn't hold up to scrutiny.
I don't know what exact. So one play puts people in their seats you don't include. it genuinely seems like everybody going mad about this. So this only started happening around the last day. But at the end of the day, look, the WNBPA can do whatever they want, I guess. And if this case is with the WNBPA, as far as I'm aware, players' rights are not done separately. I think the WNBPA come to an agreement, can come to like mass agreements like what they did with NBA 2K. With this saying it was an agreement with the WNBPA, knowing how the negotiations work with NBA 2K, with the players' associations and stuff, and again, I could be very wrong with this, but I don't think this is something that'll be on an individual by individual basis. I hope I'm wrong.
Now, you might be trying to rationalize this, thinking perhaps Clark just didn't want to participate. Maybe her agent turned the deal down, but reports quickly confirmed the most damning detail of all. She was never even asked. This was a deliberate choice made by the players' union. Their strategy, it seems, was to try and elevate other players by giving them the spotlight instead. They likely thought that by promoting Angel Reese and Aja Wilson, they could create a more balanced league with multiple faces. But that logic is fundamentally catastrophically flawed. In business, in sports, and in entertainment, you lead with your strongest asset. A rising tide lifts all boats.
Her first game back against the Liberty, where she scored 25 points in the first half, had LeBron James tweeting about her, and also sending her direct messages, apparently. They beat the Liberty, who was previously undefeated, 9-0. The game Saturday afternoon on ABC, and 21 million people watched the game. Now, according to Nielsen, that is the most watched WNBA game. Now, this all comes on the heels of ratings being down, viewership being down 55%. I want to get this exactly right. I have this all written down here. Lucky for you guys. So, this story broke last week, but I want to weave it all in as we talk about this topic. Nationally televised WNBA viewership is down 55% since Caitlin Clark's injury.
The unprecedented attention Clark brings to the WNBA is a gateway for millions of new fans. Those fans don't just watch Clark, they get introduced to other players, other teams, and the league as a whole. By trying to dim Clark's light, the union isn't helping other players shine brighter. They're just threatening to plunge the entire league back into the shadows it just escaped. The goal isn't to make sure every player sells an equal number of phone cases. It's to make the entire pie so massive that everyone gets a bigger slice. And if there was ever any doubt about her value, the league got a terrifying preview of what life is like without her.
What happens when a white girl joins a majority black league? Her coming to the league brings more viewers, more ad money. The Caitlin Clark tide is going to, if embraced, rise all boats. The majority in the league, which is black women, has done everything they can to not welcome Caitlin Clark to the league.
Sometimes a single statistic tells the entire story, and in this case, the number that surfaced was a bombshell. A report revealed that during a brief period where Caitlin Clark was sidelined with an injury, nationally televised WNBA viewership collapsed. It didn't just dip a little, it plummeted by a staggering 55%. That isn't a coincidence. It isn't a statistical anomaly. It's a direct cause and effect relationship. When Caitlin Clark is not on the court, a massive portion of the audience simply vanishes.
NBA guys, because they are allowing this to happen, the key to this whole thing was having the girls act professional and having the media do a cover for them. Well, what happens when the girls are coming out of script? What happens when the black people sitting courtside at the Atlanta Dream game, right, don't see a problem with how hard Caitlin Clark is getting fouled and they yelling, "This is Atlanta. This is Atlanta. You ain't gonna come in here and do that." What happens when Angel Reese scores 2 points, right? 8 offensive rebounds on her own missed shot, 12 rebounds total. What's happening when the people decide to get?
This single piece of data annihilates any argument that the league can thrive by sidelining her or sharing the spotlight. It proves in black and white that her popularity isn't just hype, it's the very engine keeping the lights on and driving the league's newfound relevance. The WNBA and its Players Association are sitting on a cultural and financial goldmine, and instead of digging with everything they have, they're actively trying to bury it under a pile of petty politics and bruised egos. With evidence this damning, the league's move was officially exposed as not just a snub, but an act of willful self-destruction. The fallout was immediate.
Her presence, just being there, change them. That's it. Like, you can sit here and come up with 1,000 different reasons for why. There's one why. That makes two. One why. And it's Caitlin Clark. She is the why. She is the reason. She is the box office. She is the game changer. She is that woman. She is her. Her performance.
Naturally, a decision this illogical and transparently malicious didn't go unnoticed. The backlash was immediate and fierce. Fans, sports analysts, and even casual observers who barely follow basketball were stunned by the sheer pettiness of the move. And here lies the ultimate irony. In their clumsy attempt to exclude Caitlin Clark and control the narrative, the WNBPA handed her the biggest public relations victory imaginable. The story was no longer just about a merchandise line. It was about a generational talent being bullied and ostracized by her own peers.
Maybe that's why they're thinking. But it's like, listen, Caitlin Clark is a big pop for you guys. She's selling out stadiums. You guys are moving to different areas to play bigger stadiums so you can fit some more people. Why don't the WNBA players accept that, right? And then it puts a shine. Caitlin Clark, you could say, is just a catalyst, right? She's just a little stone that's shining brightly.
Steph Curry in the WNBA.
Right, it's shining brightly.
The snub instantly painted her as a sympathetic hero, and the union as a group of insecure, bitter gatekeepers. Their plan to diminish her backfired in the most spectacular way possible. The controversy generated thousands of articles and millions of social media interactions, all centered around Clark. They wanted to take the spotlight off her, and instead, they aimed a giant industrial-strength searchlight directly at her, exposing their own jealousy for the entire world to see. It all leads to a critical moment for a league that seems dangerously determined to self-destruct. Faced with a PR nightmare, the league and its allies didn't apologize or reverse course. Instead, they doubled down on a bizarre strategy, desperately trying to manufacture a rival for Clark. They handpicked Angel Reese, a player known more for her controversial taunts and dramatic antics than for her on-court production, and tried to position her as Clark's equal. It's a classic, but deeply flawed attempt to create a Magic versus Bird narrative for a new generation. The problem? It's completely inauthentic. True rivalry are born from genuine competitive fire and a balance of elite talent. This one feels forced. While Clark is consistently putting up historic numbers and leading her team, Reese has often struggled, putting up inefficient scoring nights while making headlines for all the wrong reasons. The WNBA is trying to sell a rivalry that doesn't exist on the court, hoping the drama will distract from the reality that Clark is in a league of her own. Fans see right through it. They know the difference between a real rivalry and a marketing gimmick designed to prop up a chosen one at the expense of the true phenom. Perhaps the most damning part of this entire fiasco is the profound and deafening silence from the top. In the face of a growing firestorm, where has WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert been? Nowhere. There has been no strong statement, no course correction, no defense of the league's most valuable asset. That silence is not neutral. It's an implicit endorsement of the players' union's petty and destructive actions. It signals a complete leadership vacuum at the worst possible moment. The league is actively alienating the millions of new fans Clark brought in, essentially taking their ticket money and viewership while simultaneously disrespecting the very reason they started watching. This isn't just poor PR. It's a fundamental betrayal of the audience. Potential sponsors and broadcast partners, the lifeblood of any professional league, are watching this internal chaos unfold. They invest in growth and stability, not in a brand that is publicly at war with its own biggest star. The commissioner's silence isn't just a failure to lead, it's a giant red flag that threatens the league's long-term financial future. So here we are with a professional sports league at a perilous crossroads. The WNBA has spent its entire existence begging for mainstream relevance, fighting for every headline and every viewer. Now, that relevance has arrived in the form of a 6-foot guard from Iowa with a logo range jump shot and the charisma to match. But instead of building a throne for their new queen and riding the wave of her success, some of her peers are trying to lock her in the dungeon. The story of the merch snub is the story of a league at war with itself, a bitter battle between the old guard and a new revolution, between wounded pride and undeniable success. The question now is what happens next? How long can a league survive when it's actively working against its greatest asset? If the disrespect continues, a world of opportunity awaits her overseas in Europe, where talent is rewarded, not resented. The WNBA has a choice. Finally embrace the tidal wave that is Caitlin Clark, or be remembered forever as the league that tried to build a dam against its own ocean.